Good morning, afternoon on this Tuesday to you guys. I hope that you're having a good day. Uh, we're on a little bit of a run here where I won't be able to be with you for a couple of days. I won't be here today. I'll be back with you tomorrow. I won't be here on Thursday. I'll be back with you on Friday. Again, won't be back. I won't be here on Monday for our district tournament. So just a few things going on, whether it's golf or I have an athletics meeting in Chattanooga. Just a few things that are kind of keeping me out of the classroom, and I apologize for that. I know it's not ideal. I would love to be in two places, but unfortunately I cannot. So, anyways, I want to go through last night's homework. I think you guys did pretty well with it because a lot of you guys were finishing this up even before class was over. And then we're going to go back to your note sheet that you all should have because we've been doing it the last couple of days. Yesterday we did it with adding and subtracting. And then today we're going to move on to multiplying and quickly deal with dividing. So, anyways, here is the homework. Again, I have them worked out over on an answer key that's by my desk. If you need to see that, go right ahead and ask the sub. I'm sure they'll share it with you. But you're supposed to do numbers 5 through 15. So here's 5 through 10. A, M, B, I, D, O. Don't forget that O you were supposed to change to 12x cubed. And then, of course, you are also supposed to do 11 on through 15. So here those are G, H, E, J, K. Again, I have those worked out. Look at my key. If that doesn't work for you, then mark the ones that you had a difficulty with, the ones that you did not get correct, and I promise you we'll cover those when I get back. But adding and subtracting is real simple. Again, remember, you're combining like terms. That's all you're doing when there's a sign in between. If that's a minus sign, the rule is all of those signs directly to the right, they change. So hopefully you guys did really well on this. You probably did. Okay, so get this worksheet that this one, not necessarily, but this one right here. I gave it to you yesterday, and we added and subtracted polynomials. We're going to move into multiplying polynomials. If you happen to be absent yesterday, these are on my desk, and the substitute can give you another copy. So let's go ahead and jump in. Now, remember yesterday I kind of went to this just to make sure you guys could clearly see the difference between what we did yesterday, adding and subtracting, and these. See, look, here there is nothing in between those two polynomials. They're just jammed right next to each other. Look, same here. They're jammed right next to each other. Now there is a minus sign here, so that's gonna cause me to do things just a touch different with that problem. And we'll look at it in just a second. But if you look at all these other ones, they're just all jammed next to each other. There's no plus and minuses. So therefore, I'm not just combining like terms. I've got to do more than that. I've got to multiply. So when you multiply, we've talked a bunch about when you multiply, you have to distribute. Okay, you have to multiply everything from one by everything from the other. So you got to be real careful. I try to focus on three things: sign, number, and variable. Those are my focus when I multiply. Sign, okay? Is it positive times positive? Well, that's positive. Is it negative times negative? That's positive. Is it positive times negative? Well, that's negative. Number. Remember, you're multiplying numbers. So do multiplication. And then, of course, with variables, you don't multiply the exponents, you add them. So make sure and be careful when you multiply to focus on those three things. So here we go. Watch this. We've got w minus 7 times w squared plus 2w plus w. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute, but then I'm going to stack them. And I'm going to combine like terms vertically. That way this kind of turns into vertical addition like we did the other day. So in the process of stacking them, I'm going to put them in standard form. Okay, so watch this. W times W squared. W times W squared is W cubed. Now I need to distribute W to positive 2W. Again, focus on sign. Positive times positive, positive. And then W times 2W is going to be 2, that's our number, W squared, that's our variable. And then lastly, we've got W times 1. That's just W. Now I've got to come along and distribute negative 7. So let's take negative 7 and distribute it to W squared. Well, that's negative 7W squared. Where will that go? Directly under the positive 2W squared. Then I'm going to take negative 7 and multiply by positive 2W. Now be careful. Negative times positive is negative. 7 times 2W is negative 14W. So I'm going to put it underneath this other W. And then finally we have negative 7 times positive 1, and that's going to be negative 7. So now that I've done all of my distribution, I can now combine those like terms. And look, I've put it in standard form, so when I've combined my like terms, I'll be finished. So W cubed drops down. What is positive 2W squared minus 7W squared? Well, that's negative 5W squared. What's 1 minus 14? That's negative 13, and the variable stays the same. And then, of course, the minus 7 drops down. And here you have your answer. W cubed minus 5W squared minus 13W minus 7. So we're distributing, and then we're combining like terms. So let's move over here to number 7. Now again, this has got a little bit more going on. See, look, this is 2x plus 1 times 4 minus 9x. But then you're also subtracting 2x times 3x plus 11. So let's do some multiplication, and then in the end we'll do some combining like terms. So let's start right here with this yellow portion. Let's take 2x plus 1 and multiply by 4 minus 9x. What is 2x times 4? That's 8x. What's 2x times negative 9x? Well, 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. But what will x times x give me? X squared. So I'm going to go ahead and put that negative 18 x squared and leave that a positive 8x. See, I'm going to go ahead and put them in standard form. So that takes care of the 2x. Now we move to the 1. What is 1 times 4? Well, that's positive 4. And what's 1 times negative 9x? Well, that's negative 9x. So I'm stacking these, see, now right on top of their like terms. Now come right here. We've taken care of all of this. Look, that's all done. I've multiplied everything from one by everything from the other. So now we're ready to work on this portion. We're simply distributing negative 2x to 3x plus 11, and then that will then allow them to combine with their like terms. So what is negative 2x times 3x? Well, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, but x times x is x squared. So that's going to go right here underneath the negative 18x squared. And then negative 2x times 11, negative 2 times 11 is negative 22x. Negative 22x. I hope that makes sense because it's not, I know it's a little hard, but you guys can do this. So now all we have to do is just combine our like terms vertically. So here we go. Negative 18 minus 6 will become negative 24x squared. 8 minus 9 is negative 1. And negative 1 minus 22 is negative 23x plus. drop straight down, and there is my answer. So what do you think? I hope that you guys are like, yeah, it's a little tricky, but I can do that. You can do that. You just got to concentrate, okay? All right, let's keep on moving. Look at number 8. Number 8 is kind of challenging. It's got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, look, negative 3 is get multiplied by a plus 5, but then that's got to multiply by a minus 2, and then that's got to multiply by a plus 8. So a lot of stuff being multiplied. So I'm going to kind of kill two birds with one stone here, okay? Kind of like I did the last problem. I'm going to go ahead and do negative 3 times a plus 5, because that's all being multiplied. But then I'm also going to multiply a minus 2 by a plus 8. But then remember, what do I have to do with those results? These are jammed next to each other too. So whatever I get from multiplying those things, I have to multiply those by each other too. Does that make sense? I hope that does. So let's start right here with negative 3 times a plus 5. What is negative 3 times a? Negative 3a. And what's negative 3 times positive 5? Negative 15. So let's leave that in parentheses because I can't do anything else with that. And let's move along to the next part. Let's multiply now a times a. Well, that's going to be a squared. A times positive 8. That's positive 8a. Negative 2 now times a. Negative 2a. And then negative 2 times positive 8 is negative 16. Now, I know you guys see that these both have an a, and y'all are all using hopefully a pencil. What is 8a minus 2a? Well, that's 6a. So I'm just going to erase this and make that a plus 6a. Now look, guys, remember how I told you a second ago? The result of multiplying this right here and the result of multiplying all that here, they still have to be multiplied by each other. But that's all I have left. When I am done multiplying all of this stuff, I'll then combine my like terms and my answer will be finished. So here we go. Hope you can follow along with this. We're going to multiply first negative 3a times a squared. So negative 3 times, that's an understood 1, is negative 3a to the third. Look, a times a squared, a cubed. Then negative 3a times positive 6a. Negative 3 times positive 6 is negative 18, and a times a is a squared. Next, we're going to do negative 3a times negative 16. Now, you might need a calculator at this point, but negative times negative is going to give me a positive, and 3a times 16 is going to be a positive 48a. A positive 48a. Now let's move along. Let's take this negative 15 now and let's distribute it to a squared. Negative 15 times a squared, negative 15a squared. Then I'm going to take that negative 15 and multiply it by positive 6a. And again, you might need a calculator, but negative 15 times positive 6 is going to be negative 90a. And then finally, we're going to take negative 15 and multiply it by negative 16. So negative times negative is going to be positive, and 15 times 16 is going to be 240. So let's combine some like terms, and here is our answer, negative 3a cubed. What is negative 18a squared minus 15a squared. That's negative 33a squared. What is 48a minus 90a? Well, that's negative 42a plus 240. And there you have it. Just like that. All right, I hope that makes sense. Again, just the process that you go through is a little bit more intense here, but you guys can do it. Okay, look at number 9 with me. I'm going to leave that there in case you're still writing. When you have 2c plus 5d cubed, a lot of people have a misconception to think that you can go 2c cubed and then you can go 5d cubed. And man, that would be awesome if that's what this problem meant. But unfortunately for all of us, that's not what it means. 2c plus 5d cubed means 2c plus 5d times 2c plus 5d times 2c plus 5d. So that's a lot of work, and it's a little tedious, but we're gonna do it, okay? So first, we're gonna focus on just doing 2 at a time. We can't multiply 3 of these at the same time, okay? There may be ways of going about it, but they're more complicated than just going ahead and taking, hey, 2 at a time, do those, and then multiply it by that third one, and then we'll be done. So first, let's focus on 2c plus 5d here times 2c plus 5d here. Now, I will say this. One of the hard concepts here is the variables because there's 2 of them, so just be careful. Okay, watch. 2c times 2c is 4c squared. 2c times 5d is positive. 2 times 5 is 10, and c times d is cd. But then we switch over and we go 5d times 2c. Well, again, 5 times 2 is 10, but d times c, even though it sounds backwards, it's still cd. And these are still like terms, so don't forget that. And then 5d times 5d is positive 25d squared. Now remember, that's just a result of multiplying those first two. You still have this one 2c plus 5d left over here. Now, first, before we start multiplying all this, don't forget, if these are like terms, we can combine them. What is 10cd plus 10cd? Well, that's 20cd. So I'm going to use my pencil and erase that and change that to plus 20cd. Now we can do all of our multiplication and we'll be finished. Ready? 4c squared times 2c. Okay, 4 times 2 is 8. And c squared times c is c cubed. Next, 4c squared times 5d. 4 times 5 is 20. And c squared times d is c squared d. Next, how about 20cd times 2c? Again, 20 times 2 is 40. But what about cd times c? Well, c times c becomes c squared, and all of a sudden it's just like this. So 20 times 2 is 40, and cd times c is c squared d. And those are like terms. See, it gets a little confusing at this point. So you got to be real careful. Here we do 20cd times 5d. So first, what's 20 times 5? Well, that's 100. And cd times d is cd squared. Last, 25d squared times 2c. 25 times 2 is 50. And d squared times c is cd squared. And last thing, 25 times 5 is a positive 125. And d squared times d is d cubed. So there it is, y'all. Now, I know that's got some challenges, but we simply multiplied. We were real careful to focus on our sign and our number and our variable. Now all we have to do is combine vertically. 8c cubed comes down. 20 plus 40 is 60. C squared d. 100 plus 50 is 150. CD squared plus 125 d cubed. So, quite a bit, y'all, quite a bit. All right, I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to go with, it really doesn't matter. Let's do 10. Let's do 10. Number 10. Okay, so again, we're taking this trinomial, and look, these parentheses are right next to each other. We're multiplying. But all we got to do is multiply a trinomial times a trinomial. So this one's actually, I think, easier than the last. Okay, so here we go. What's 3m squared times 2m squared? Well, 3 times 2 is 6. And m squared times m squared is m to the 4th. Next, 3m squared times 5m. Positive 3 times positive 5 is positive 15. And m squared times m is m cubed. Finally, we're going to take 3m squared and multiply it by negative 9. Positive 3 times negative 9 is negative 27. And m squared times no variable is simply m squared. So I have distributed 3m squared to the entire thing. Now, let's go to negative 4m. What's negative 4m times 2m squared? Well, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And m times m squared is m cubed. So negative 8m cubed will come right down underneath this positive 15m cubed. Now, next, negative 4m times positive 5m. Negative 4 times positive 5 is negative 20. And m times m is m squared. So sure enough, negative 20 m squared comes right down underneath that negative 27 m squared. And lastly, negative 4m times negative 9. Think about that. Negative times negative will become positive. 4 times 9 is 36. And m times no variable is simply m. And then the last multiplication is the easiest because you're just distributing 1. What's 1 times 2m squared? Well, that's 1 2m squared. 1 times 2 is 2m squared. And it's positive, right? Positive. What about positive 1 times positive 5m? Well, that's positive 5m. And what's positive 1 times negative 9? Well, that's negative 9. So there we have all of our multiplication done. And now we can simply combine our like terms vertically. So ready? Here we go. 6m to the 4th. 15 minus 8 is positive 7. Variable stays the same. Negative 27 minus 20 is negative 47. Negative 47 plus 2 is negative 45, and our variable stays the same. 36m plus 5m is positive 41m, and minus 9 drops down. So there you have it. There's your answer. Again, quite a bit, but probably a little easier even than number 9 was. So I want you to go back to a paper that has been your homework, not yesterday's paper, but the one that was your homework when we did the monomials. It started off and you did 1 through 8. Then I gave you 9 through 12. Well, tonight I want you to finish this paper off doing numbers 13 through 20. 13 through 20. You don't have to do 21 and 22, but you need to do 13, which is kind of a review from yesterday. Look, it's subtraction. 14, which is subtraction, so it's a review from yesterday. But then, of course, you got all these that are more of the multiplication stuff. Okay? Actually, I left one thing out. Let's go back to your note sheet. I don't know what happened, but I also wanted to go through division. Now, I'm going to keep this real simple. Dividing is easy because you're simply dividing your top by your single term that's in your denominator. And you've been doing this, okay? See, 9 divided by 3 is 3. And m cubed divided by m is m squared. And then negative 24 divided by 3 is negative 8. And m squared divided by m is m. So this answer is 3m squared minus 8m. Look at number 14, and we'll call it a day. We're going to do everything in the numerator gets divided by 4x. What's 20 divided by 4? That's 5. How about x cubed divided by x? Well, that's x squared. Negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1. And x squared divided by x is x. So negative 1x. You don't have to have the 1 there if you don't want. You could erase it. It doesn't matter. And then lastly, what's negative 8 divided by 4? Negative 2. And x divided by x cancel. So that's 5x squared minus x minus 2. So that's division. So go back to your homework real quick the other way. And your homework is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. I don't want you to do number 20 because they didn't work out right and it was more confusing than it was worth. So your homework tonight is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, that's 7 problems. Easy as can be. That is what I want you to accomplish tonight. Tomorrow I will be back. I will tell you this, 17 is going to be a tricky one. Okay, it's going to be a tricky one. So give it your best go. I really expect you can do 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, and 19 without any real issue. But 17, that'll be a doozy. So that's your homework for tonight. You have probably about 15 minutes or so that you could easily complete this. So get to work.